Battlefield 6 Season 1 is kind of a fucking disaster. What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to the channel. And today we're diving into the full-blown shitstorm that's been happening with Battlefield 6 Season 1, what went wrong, why the community is review bombing RedSack on Steam, and how EA and DICE can counter-correct and steer this ship right. I'm also somebody who was accepted into the Battlefield content creator program, so I don't want to be making these kind of videos. But alas, here we are. Leave a like on the video and subscribe for more Battlefield content. Let's get into it. All right, let's boil down the basics. Battlefield 6 dropped Season 1 with their Battle Royale called RedSack included as a free-to-play addition to the game. And what should have been a hype moment for the franchise turned into, honestly, not that great of a reception at all. Yes, there's a new map, Blackwell Fields, that really isn't that great. It feels like if Liberation Peak was just like smashed down with a hammer and there's really no like height differential at all. It's one of the flattest maps that I've played in quite some time, which makes it a sniper haven and just not that fun to play. There's some new modes like Strike Point, which isn't that great. We obviously have the Battle Pass, which, starting to see a trend here. It really isn't that great. Obviously, that's just the live service bells and whistles as per usual. But what we have here also is the launch of their Battle Royale called RedSack, which, if you couldn't tell by the name, again, isn't that great at all. Not to say that it's really that bad. I will say it's definitely a lot more mediocre than I thought it was going to be. There are some cool features with RedSack, but the main problem that people are getting pissed off about is, remember those weekly challenges that we've been doing for the last couple of weeks, pretty much since the game has launched? Yeah, all of those challenges, or at least a large portion of those weekly challenges, at least in week 1 here, are tied to playing the Battle Royale or playing this Gauntlet mode, which, much like everything else I've said in this video, isn't that great at all. There are weekly challenges that ask you to play 5 matches of Gauntlet, or ask you to do damage to vehicles in Battle Royales, or ask you to get kills in the RedSack mode, which for people who bought into the Battlefield 6 multiplayer, core multiplayer experience, they don't want to play Battle Royale, or maybe there's some crossover, but a vast majority from what I'm seeing don't give a shit about your Battle Royale mode. Leading up to this launch, there was a huge, like, I would say, online war between the Battlefield 6 core community and that streamer community that always wants the hyper-aggressive Call of Duty style crackhead movement, the Battle Royales, the live service, the skins, all that stuff. They've been warring for months now leading up into this launch, and now we have a crossing of worlds here where the people who are playing the Battle Royale are going to be able to get their challenges done. They're going to be able to grind their weapons and do everything else, but there's a ton of people that are playing core multiplayer, trying to level up and do their challenges, that now have to be forced to play a mode that they don't give a shit about. This has led to a significant review bombing both on Battlefield 6 and Battlefield 6 RedSack on Steam, which is now sitting at mixed. At the time of writing the script for this video, it was sitting at mostly negative and was one of the worst rated Battlefield products in over a decade, which is saying something. It's starting to claw its way back, but to say that the launch of the Battle Royale was a little bit lackluster would be an overstatement, actually. Now, here's the thing about RedSack that people are saying is actually really good, is the size of the maps. Jack Frags just dropped a video the other day where somebody took the golf course portion of the Battle Royale map and turned it into a conquest map, and wouldn't you know it, it actually plays pretty well as a large-scale battlefield map. Who would have thought? It's almost as if there was some YouTuber talking about the size of the maps going into this launch. Who was that again? Oh yeah, right, it was me. The maps in Battlefield 6 are so fucking small, and when we got to Blackwell Fields, it kind of feels like it might be a little bigger than some of them, but it still feels very constrained, especially in the airspace. It's just not that Battlefield scale that we're all looking for. Now, when you jump into RedSack and you actually get to feel that scale across multiple areas of that map, that's, you know, unfortunately, that's like one of the closest experiences to Battlefield in terms of that all-out warfare, combined arms scale that we wanted in the core multiplayer, which I'm sure is leading to a lot of frustrations as well. Many longtime Battlefield fans are going, the core multiplayer experience isn't on the scale of older Battlefield titles. You know, we wanted big maps, we wanted vehicular warfare, we wanted team-based huge chaos. And now we're getting small maps, flashy skins, live service battle passes, and a shift towards that battle royale grind with the challenges. It's leaving a really bad taste in a lot of players' mouths. Now, I will say, surprising to me, one of the modes that is getting a lot of love with this Season 1 update is the Gauntlet mode. So basically how it works is it basically takes like the time to kill and the armor system and the pacing of a battle royale, but it pits teams in smaller, kind of more confined spaces completing missions. And what it does is, like a Gauntlet, it starts to knock off the teams that aren't doing enough to stay in the top standings. So in the first round, you might need to get to the top 6, and you got to complete missions and get kills and earn points to be able to stay in the game to go to the next round. I gotta say, as a Battlefield core fan, I really think that mode would have been great with Battlefield time to kill and not the armor and the going down and all of that stuff. I'm just not a fan of it. The pacing of the game is so fucking chaotic with so many teams running around at once that it, you know, is surprising. A lot of people are giving it a lot of props. I think that is way more crackheady and Call of Duty vibe than RedSack itself. And I just wasn't a fan of it. I played the Gauntlet matches literally to finish the challenge, and then I never want to touch it again until I have to. Contrast that with the game mode Strike Point, which is basically a one life 4v4 mode, and it basically works like Gunfight in Call of Duty, but with a squad of 4 players. You all have 1 life, there's a capture point in the middle of the map, you have to win 6 rounds in order to win the game. I'm usually a huge fan of 1 life modes, but the pacing in that game mode is also really, really strange. You have that down mechanic like you get in the Battle Royale. You also have really poor spawns where it sometimes feels like you're playing attack and defend, where some teams might spawn closer to the capture point than others. And unlike Gunfight, the capture point opens way quicker in the round. It's not like when you get to the very end, the capture point opens and then it's there. It opens really, really quickly, and it kind of gives one team the advantage, and it makes you have to push if you're on the other team, and you can't just like strategically move around the map because one team is already capturing the point and the capture goes really, really fast. It feels like a very tacked on, not well thought out mode, which again, I wasn't a fan of. Even though I'm a huge fan of modes like Search and Destroy, the 1 life modes are my shit. I think one of the best examples of a 1 life mode done right was Firefight in Insurgency Sandstorm, where it's essentially a 1 life domination, but every time you capture a point, your entire team comes back. So it created a sense of urgency to capture the points and be strategic about where you are on the map. And I think a mode like that in Battlefield would go so hard. But this one just felt a little bit tacked on, like they didn't really think it through and didn't really play test it enough to get the pacing right, to get the spawns right. It kind of felt a lot like Rush leading into the launch, where it felt like the spawns were fucked. The MCOM locations just didn't make any sense. So I wasn't a fan of Strike Point. I'm not a fan of Gauntlet. I'm actually not really mad at RedSack outside of the audio bugs that we've been running into, where sometimes there'll be a tank right next to you and you can't even hear the engine audio, and you basically just hear nothing, and then you die from an explosion, and then the kill cam just goes, oh yeah, oh, right over there. Yeah, right over there. There was a tank. You just didn't hear him. That's weird. I also think there is a shit ton of desync and hit reg issues. David Serlin came out on Twitter and said the game basically runs at 30 hertz until you get down to the final circle, which then it turns to 60 hertz or 60 tick rate servers, which if you compare it to other battle royales in the industry is actually pretty good. I think Apex Legends runs at 45, Call of Duty runs at 20, but there's something about Battlefield RedSack. It feels like there's some hit reg issues as well as a shit ton of desync, where I might be around a corner and just getting shot, and it just doesn't feel very good. There's a lot of small things that, you know, coming from somebody who actually did play a lot of Warzone back when Warzone was hot and popping, there are some quality of life things with the player controller and the movement that you definitely take for granted. You can tell Battlefield is, it's like they attempted to make like a Warzone adjacent experience with different missions and a different way to get your loadouts, which I think there are a lot of cool ideas there. I just wish that it was that pacing with the quality of life and the player controller and the fluidity of the animations of like cutting your parachute, grabbing a zip line, going up. It feels like, at some points, it feels like Warzone at home, but then you actually look at what's going on in the gameplay with all of the missions and the vehicle calls and stuff, and I actually really like that. I love the pacing of the game itself, especially when that circle's coming in, and if you touch that fire, you're dead. I love it. There are a lot of people that don't like RedSack, and I don't know if it's they're not a fan of the fact that it's being shoehorned into the challenges and shoved down people's throats for the battle pass, or if they just don't like the gameplay and the mode itself. I think there's a lot of valid criticisms there, but I think the whole launch of Season 1 has really tainted the experience for a lot of players. The good thing is RedSack is a free-to-play experience, so there's no money up front to at least try it, but I do think that Battlefield RedSack shouldn't have been tied directly into Battlefield 6. I think it should have been its own separate launcher, its own separate game, its own separate economy and ecosystem, and leave the core Battlefield experience to the players who want it there. Tying it together the way you did is, again, another half-assed, half-thought-out decision that clearly wasn't well planned out in advance, and that I just think they botched the execution. Now, I know there's a lot of players that are doom and gloom on the future of Battlefield 6 with this BR implementation. I do think the fact that we're getting the California map here in a couple of weeks, and the fact that we did just get Blackwell Fields, which I'm curious to see what California is going to be like. I don't think it's going to be anything much different. I don't know why these guys are just hesitating to create a map with some actual scale that requires you to maybe utilize the vehicles to get from point to point a little bit more. But the one thing that at the very least I can give them some credit for here is the fact that, unlike Call of Duty, it does feel like they are still really trying to support that core experience with new maps and new content. With Call of Duty, I mean, you guys were there for 2019 and Modern Warfare 2. As soon as the Battle Royale drops, whether it's Season 1 or halfway through Season 1 or whatever, it feels like the core multiplayer experience just gets left by the wayside and is essentially dead. I don't think that's going to happen here with Battlefield 6, and I think that's why there is so much backlash here, because we've already seen this happen with the competition. Nobody wants to see this game get abandoned in favor of the Battle Royale, which again, in this point, is a pretty middling experience overall. And one thing I know a lot of people are frustrated about is the fact that as soon as you open a $70 game, you are greeted with, hey, go to the store. Hey, go buy this. Hey, go look at this skin. Go buy Battlefield Pro. Go buy Premium. Go buy this. And it's like a fucking it's like the ad blocker broke as soon as you start the game. And I think a lot of people were hoping that this game wasn't going to turn into a fucking Call of Duty clone, and they were hoping that Battlefield would have been the game to rescue them from the shit that we've been dealing with Call of Duty for the last 10 plus years. And so I think there's just a lot of like reminiscent qualities of opening up Call of Duty and being bombarded like you're playing a fucking mobile game. We're seeing that same kind of stuff leak in here. And granted, I think there's a very small percentage of the player base that was just pissed off that there was a battle pass to begin with. So there's a lot of noise around this release, a lot of middling to negative noise about pretty much everything across the board. Here's what Battlefield Studios, in my opinion, needs to do to completely salvage this and move on from whatever the fuck this was. You guys need to completely separate the challenges from the Battle Royale and the core multiplayer experience, and you need to do it soon. Week 2 is coming up, I believe, tomorrow at the time of me recording this video. If those challenges aren't separated and we got to go another week having to play fucking Gauntlet and having to play Battle Royale to get weeklies done, you're going to have a lot of pissed off people on your hands. You need to separate them. Make your own Battle Royale challenges for the people who fucking play over there, and leave the core multiplayer experience to the people who paid $70 fucking for it. Great. Moving forward, the content that you're bringing to that core multiplayer experience has to have that Battlefield identity. You need the bigger maps, vehicles, team-based, objective-based gameplay. Emphasize what makes Battlefield unique and stop making maps that appeal to the Call of Duty crowd. They have their game coming out on November 14th. They're most likely going to leave you when Black Ops 7 comes out anyway. Fuck them. And I think moving forward, again, another piece of credit that I can give them is they are being very transparent and they are being very open and listening to the community feedback. Now, whether or not it gets implemented in a timely fashion or fast enough for people to not be upset about it, that kind of remains to be seen. But they did pull out the very goofy blue skin that people were bitching about for the last week, so I guess that's a positive. I like Battlefield 6. I still think it's a fucking solid game and I'm enjoying playing it. I'm even having some fun with RedSack in between my raids in Arc Raiders. Thank fuck Arc Raiders came out to give me a break from Battlefield so I can jump back and forth, or else I'd probably be tearing my hair out. But for you guys who are out here on Reddit, Twitter, fucking Discord, wherever, keep sharing your opinions, keep voicing it, keep leaving those negative reviews, because nothing is going to change if we don't try to hold them accountable and actually implement the changes that we want. I'm not going to sit here and tell you not to buy things, because that literally doesn't matter anymore. For every person that chooses not to buy a battle pass, there are 100 whales lining up to buy every single skin in the store. So that we've lost that fight. That doesn't fucking matter. All I can hope and pray for is that the upcoming content for the core Battlefield experience is fucking solid. The whole season has kind of been a miss for me. Some of the better experiences that people are having this season are from Portal, which should never be a thing. Portal should not be the place where people go to get that core Battlefield experience. We didn't spend $70 to have to actually mod in the core classic Battlefield experience. So, you know what doesn't cost you $70 though? Subscribing to the Patreon. You can join this long list of people supporting the channel every month for as low as $4.99. But listen, if you guys don't want to do that, leave a like on the video, subscribe with the bell set to all so you never miss another one. I stream over on Twitch. I'm dropping shorts on Instagram, TikTok, and over here on YouTube. I'm all over the fucking place. Get connected. All of the links are down in the description below. Hell, join our Discord if you're looking for people to play games with or just chat about random bullshit. Just get connected in the community. My name is Big Fry. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.